Hey guys, how's it going? It's X666X Iron Maiden. Today we're back with some more simple history. This is the Yamato, the largest battleship in history, also known as the Behemoth. Alright, so the Yamato is a ship I have heard of. It's the same as covering the biggest gun with the Gustav, the rail super gun, also known as a Behemoth, by the way. Basically, it's the same thing. I just know about them. I don't know that much detail. So again, this is another video that's gonna bring more detail. This one I think I even know less about than the other one. Truthfully, I don't think I've done any extra learning of this at any point, really. So I'm looking forward to this one because I have heard about it being the largest battleship in history. I don't know if it still is now, but this video did come out in June of this year. So Simple History is usually pretty good with that. If they're incorrect, if you think they're incorrect, let me know. So without further ado, let's check out the Yamato.
Hey Simple History fans, World of Warships has come to us with a sponsorship opportunity to try out their awesome game. If you want to be the first to use our code, you can download the game for free.
I used to play World of Warships.
Description below, and use the code PLAYWARSHIPS2018 for a bunch of freebies that we'll tell you about later in the video. Yamato, super battleship, largest battleship in history, World War II. Design.
World War II. I knew it was in World War II. There's
the
that.
Yamato class of battleships were the pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy during the Second World War. This class were the heaviest battleships ever built. The Yamato class battleships were not only the biggest of their kind, but were also the most powerful, with the largest amount of artillery mounted on a ship. The intention behind the design was to counter the numerical supremacy of the American Pacific Fleet. Since they didn't have the economic or industrial capacities to build a large quantity of ships, the Japanese decided to build larger battleships that could respond to numerous enemy ships at once. The Imperial Japanese Navy required a super heavy battleship that would be armed with 18.1-inch guns, and armor that could withstand the impact of 18-inch shells. Furthermore, the ship had to have a top speed of 27 knots and a cruising range of 8,000 miles at a speed of 18 knots. After these requirements were received, the designers commenced development in 1935. After the initial plans were made, it was decided that the ship needed a displacement of 69,000 tons. The dimensions of the battleship were more than impressive. The overall length of the ship was 839 feet, with a beam width of 127.7 feet. The protection of the Yamato was equally impressive. The total weight of the armor was 22,534 tons, which was 1/3 of the entire displacement. The thickness of the armor varied from 8 inches to 16 inches depending on the section. The deck armor was between 7.9 and 9.1 inches, while the gun turrets were protected with armor ranging from 9.5 to 26 inches. This armor was supposed to protect the Yamato from all Allied naval weapons. The Yamato class of battleships were powered by 4 steam engines, with 12 boilers and a total power of 150,000 shaft horsepower. Even at maximum speed, the Yamato had great maneuverability.
Wow.
Ships in the Yamato class. The Imperial Japanese Navy ordered 2 battleships of the Yamato class in 1936. The first one, Yamato, was built in the Kure shipyards, and the second, Musashi, in the Mitsubishi shipyard.
They actually named the first one Yamato.
Both shipyards had to be modified to handle
we'll just call it the same as the class.
The production of the ships were kept a secret, so large fences and canvas were placed around the docks to secure it from spies. As well as this, if a worker mentioned the project, they may have faced death.
Wow.
The Navy ordered 2 more battleships in 1939. The building of the first one, named Shinano, commenced production, but after the Battle of Midway, it was decided that it would be converted into an aircraft carrier. The last one, unofficially named No. 111, was never finished. Armament. The armament of the Yamato battleships was in accordance with the scale of the ship and its purpose. The primary armament consisted of 3 triple turrets with Type 94 46-centimeter guns. These 69.4-foot-long guns could fire a 3,219-pound projectile at a distance of 26.1 miles with
Oh
a
my
rate of
God.
fire of 1.5 projectiles per minute. These were the largest and most powerful guns ever put on a ship. The entire weight of one turret was 2,774 tons, which equaled the weight of a fleet destroyer. The secondary armament consisted of 4 triple turrets with 155mm guns. The anti-aircraft armament consisted of 6 twin-mounted Type 89 127mm guns, mounted on the side of the ship above the 155mm guns. Additionally, the Yamato had 8 triple-mounted Type 96 25mm guns and 4 Type 93 13mm guns on the bridge tower. The Yamato even had a hangar below deck for storing 3 to 4 aircraft that were launched with 2 catapults. As the war progressed, the Yamato armament was modified with some guns removed and some added. The first modification came in July 1943, when radars were fitted to upgrade the ship's anti-aircraft defense. At the same time, an additional 4 triple 25mm guns were added to the weather deck.
Man.
The second modification came in February 1944, when 2 155mm side guns were removed, as they were of no use for anti-aircraft defense. These were replaced with an additional 6 twin-mounted Type 89 127mm guns. The anti-aircraft defense was reinforced with 55 25mm guns, some of which were triple-mounted and some single-mounted. The final modification in November 1944, after the Battle of Leyte Gulf, saw almost all single-mounted 25mm guns replaced with triple-mounted guns, and 27 new 25mm guns. After this, the Yamato had 152 25mm guns in its armament.
Wow.
Fate. Even though Japan invested much of their capacities in building the Yamato-class battleships, their use during the war was underwhelming. The Japanese built the battleships to confront other ships on the sea, failing to foresee the development of aircraft as the most powerful weapon in the war. It could be said that Yamato was already obsolete by the time it was built. Battle of Midway. Both battleships of the class saw little action during the war. The Yamato was commissioned on December 15, 1941, and it was assumed as the flagship of the Japanese combined fleet. During the Battle of Midway, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto commanded its fleet from the Yamato's bridge. As the battle ended up disastrously for the Imperial Japanese Navy, the Yamato was withdrawn to Japan, where it served as a headquarters ship, missing the Battle of Guadalcanal. Due to the frequent and long periods of inactivity, it was nicknamed the Hotel Yamato. Musashi took over the duty of flagship of the combined fleet on January 22, 1943, but it also saw little action. Both ships were used at the time as transport ships, as they could carry a large amount of troops. During these operations, both ships were being hit by U.S. submarines, forcing them to spend long periods of time in the truck shipyards for repairs. The Battle of Leyte Gulf. The first big action for both ships came during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle of the war. On October 24, 1944, U.S. forces launched a massive air attack on the Japanese fleet. They concentrated their fire on Musashi, which couldn't withstand the amount of bombs and torpedoes launched at it. By the end of the day, it was sunk.
Wow.
On the following day, the Yamato used its 46cm guns for the first and only time during the war, hitting an American carrier at a distance of 20 miles. During the battle, the Yamato suffered several bomb hits, but was not put in great danger. However, because of the danger of torpedo strikes, it was forced to leave the battle. Suicide mission. Operation Tengo.
Suicide mission.
The final engagement of the Yamato was connected to the Allied invasion of Okinawa, which prompted the Japanese Navy to commence Operation Tengo, sending the entire fleet to confront the U.S. Navy that was supporting the invasion. On April 6, 1945, the Yamato, with full magazines, sortied with 1 light cruiser and 8 destroyers on a suicide mission. American codebreakers found out about the Japanese plans, so the U.S. Navy was prepared for the action that would follow. On April 7th, a convoy of 10 ships, led by the Yamato, was attacked by 400 American airplanes.
They have a lot of guns, but
withstood the bombs hitting its deck, but 11 torpedoes that hit the port side were more than it could take. After it rolled over to port, its aft magazines exploded, taking the Yamato to the bottom of the sea. 3,063 sailors were killed, and only 269 were saved.
I'm actually curious.
The Yamato marked the end of the Japanese Imperial.
It doesn't say how much the Yamato actually took out, though. Like, it doesn't. None of these.
A big thank you to World of Warships for
stop that there. It doesn't mention in this video. It talks about creation, what they did. it doesn't really cover the results of what they did, you know? Like, it doesn't say, like, oh, they took out this many planes. It doesn't ever mention anything about what it actually accomplished other than the fact of trying to say that it was useless. So I kind of wish they would have went more into, like, okay, how many planes did they take out while it was getting attacked, you know? Like, obviously with that many anti-air guns, it must have did still a decent amount of damage before it went down. Maybe like a chunk of the aircraft, you'd think. So I think I wish they would have covered more of that in this video, which they didn't. I'm sure I can find the information somewhere else for sure. But on this video, I wish they would have covered it as well, because it is almost a 10-minute video, and there was room to fit it in here, I think. Other than that, it gave me a pretty good description. Like, now I know about the Yamato class and why. It seems to be literally anything that you made that was huge that you think would be dangerous basically wasn't, because it ended up being obsolete. Seems like all the big things from World War II so far, you know, like the major guns, the biggest battleship, probably even the biggest tanks. I know we will be covering also the Maus super heavy tank from the Germans, and I'm curious if that's also going to be obsolete at this point. Like, it just too big and not worth it, you know. I feel like that one's probably going to say they get stuck or something most of the time, you know. So as cool as these things are so far, they just are impractical. It's easier to make smaller things that come in groups than building, you know, large things like this. So that's the biggest part that I get from this, and then obviously its history and all that gets covered pretty decently with its creation and all that. And obviously a good thing that pops up right there near the end is the code breaking that's brought up. You get another little piece of history there too, just a tiny little glimpse of the code breaking. A lot of code breaking was involved with World War II that helped the Allies big time during the war. That doesn't really get covered more than that here, but it's cool to see it being brought up and actually stopped and got the last Yamato class destroyed. So yeah, it was a decent video as usual and simple history. I just wish it would have covered that little bit of extra details is all I wanted. So hopefully you guys enjoyed checking this one out with me. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and see more from me. I'm also on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. And as always, you guys have a good one. I'll catch you later.